Now I'll get my voice. There I am. Let me make sure that everything's going. Good morning, classroom. If you are here joining me, I'm so happy. It looks like I should be okay. I don't have any face up there yet. But oh, there we go. Now I've got a face up there. And now I'm recording. And now we're all started. Good morning. And today is our last day of the week. Today is day 5 for our classroom, the classroom. And welcome, early birds. Thank goodness I got up an hour later. I hope you're joining me at 8 o'clock. I bet that you guys weren't up that early either. Used to be, the little ones were always up early. Earlier than me, my little ones were, but I don't know if they're up that early anymore. Probably so. I probably just don't know it because they're not my little ones anymore, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get going. Now today, if you remember, first of all, we are here in the classroom on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We will start at 8 o'clock in the morning because even the chickens weren't up yesterday when I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to start at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm happy that you're here. If you are here, and we will be doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and most of the time we will be doing stories, but we haven't had any chance to get to learning how to read, or not a lot of chance, right, to get to learning how to read. So one day out of the week, we will likely spend doing our getting ready to read, right? We want to get ready to read, and that's why we're here in this early bird class. That, and also because I'm looking for my other book and I don't see it here, our book. Why didn't I bring that Tales down? So we're doing Tales of Virtue, and we will be doing those stories. And, you know, for me, I happen to think that those stories are most important. But then I think, no, it's more important for you to learn how to read. And then I think, no, those stories are most important. Then I think, no, it's more important for you to learn how to read. So we're trying to do this. We're trying to do both of them, right? Learn how to read and give you some really good stories that really help you. It helps who you are. It helps you kind of learn who you are and learn, well, like the book said, the difference between right and wrong, right? Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Because we haven't gotten to the reading part, we're going to do probably one day a week. We're going to be doing probably all reading. Today we're doing all reading. All right, we're going to see how long it takes. All right, so the very first thing I want to do for our reading is, of course, play our alphabet song. Thank you, Greg and Steve, for that alphabet music. And then I put the video together. I really like that video, and I was so happy that so many of you like it as well. That is my most successful video. I can't even believe it. So we have to watch the alphabet song, or watch it and listen to the alphabet song again. But remember why we do that. The reason why we do that is because when we put something that we have to remember to music, it helps us remember it better. And this is a cool song. Thank you, Greg and Steve, for such a cool song instead of that other horrible alphabet song that I played before and then got locked out because I played it. Blah.
W
Isn't that a great song? I just love that song. Again, thank you, Greg and Steve, for the alphabet song. We love that song. And especially that oh boy part, isn't it? Huh? We like that oh boy part. Um, I do. I don't know about if you do. So let's get going. Let's go ahead and let's look at all of those letters again, shall we? Remember, do you remember how many letters there are in the alphabet? You could count them. You can count them right there on the screen. Let's see. I wonder if you could count them. Let's count them. Let's do our numbers and count the letters of the alphabet. I'm pretty sure I've got a picture of it. Maybe I don't. I bet I do. Hold on, I'm going to disappear for a sec. Oh, I guess I didn't. Oh, well, we could use this, can't we? Yes, we can. We don't need the other ones. We'll use this. All right. So we can see there at the top, what we have there is a capital letter and we have a small letter. Usually words start, actually not words, sentences start with a capital letter. But every other letter usually is small. So we'll talk about when we use capital letters and when we use small letters. But right now what we're doing is we're looking at counting those letters. So we have 2 letters above every box there, right? One letter is a capital letter and the other letter we call a small letter. So we have a capital A and a small a. We have a capital B and a small b. We have a capital C and a small c. See how that goes all the way down the line? And now we've already counted 3 letters, right? So let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, 5 in the top. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Well, that's how many letters are in the alphabet, and we also know that if we ever forget how many letters are in the alphabet, we can just count them. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was still on. Sorry, folks, I have to always check. I have this heart attack, like, I've been talking for half an hour and I'm still not on. Okay, so if we forget how many letters are in the alphabet, we can just count them again. And we just did, and what did we say? 26 letters in the alphabet. Now, if you have to learn how to count, we'll talk about counting sometime too. But we just counted all those letters, so that will help you learn how to count. And not only that, I bet there's a great song, maybe even by Greg and Steve, who will help you learn how to count if you don't know how to count. We'll do it someday, I'm sure. But right now, we're going to just talk about our alphabet. And because I still have a little frog in my throat because I'm still sleepy, I'm going to have to take a drink of water. You would think sleeping an hour longer, I wouldn't be so sleepy, but I still kind of am. A little bit. I think it was all the excitement of having to get up an hour later. Okay, so there's our alphabet. 26 letters in our alphabet. Now, let's go back to our go back there. Our slides so that we can see the difference. I have a day 5. Sorry about that, Sam Wednesday up there. There we go. Thursday, March Yeah, not March 9th. Never mind. See, this is the one that we did on friendship. On David and Jonathan. Then we heard that great song, Brother, and then they, whatever, blocked it. Okay, so if you remember, we eliminated, we erased our vowels, right? We erased our vowels. So the first vowel was an A. Do you remember what the second vowel is? The second vowel was an E, and then an I. Do you remember the next one? O. And then what? What was the last vowel? The last vowel was U. And so those were the vowels, if you remember, 5 vowels, and sometimes Y is a vowel also. We'll talk about that in a minute. So when we eliminate all of our vowels, we are left with consonants. And do you remember how consonants sound? What do they say? They say their name. Now that seems a little weird, right? That seems a little weird. That sounds a little weird. How does F say its name? What word starts with F except for F? But what do we hear in F? F. So that's what we mean when we say consonants say their name. When we pronounce them, we can hear their name. Not perfectly, right? We don't hear F, but we hear F, F, F. Do you know, can you think of a word that starts with F, F? I can. Right now I can think of a word. F, F, F. Fun! That's the word I'm thinking of. What word are you thinking of? Did you hear that? Because we did P. What word starts with P? Only P. But what do we hear? P. So we know puppy. Puppy. Are you thinking of a word every time I make that sound? Let's try a V. Let's try a V. 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 Can you think of a word that starts with that sound? V. Very. That's the word I'm thinking of. Very. Very fun. We're having very fun. Doesn't even make sense. Very fun. We're not having very fun. What about Q? What about Q? Q. I could think of cook, but that's not actually exactly the same thing. That sounds more like a K. But you know what? It's a C. Sometimes C's sound like K's. So sometimes language is confusing. But let's go back to the Q. Q. We have to almost have a U sound in there, don't we? U, like it's a K and a U together. That's what Q sounds like, doesn't it? It sounds like a K and a U together. Q. Quick. Almost. Q. Quiet. See, sometimes it's not exactly the right sound, like W. What? Nothing starts with that sound, W. Dr. Feravich, Miss Annette. Nothing sounds like W. What? W has a what sound. A what sound. So that's what we want. Every day we're going to go back to, or we're going to try every day. Sometimes we'll have stories and like yesterday, we didn't get to any of our vowels or consonants yesterday, right? So these are our consonants. And we're going to keep remembering our consonants and sounding them out, a few every single day. You can try some of your own. You can try and see if you know what the word sounds with. So maybe you're thinking of the word jump. I bet you can think about what that starts with. jump, jump. J. Of course it starts with a J. It sounds just like a J when I say jump, doesn't it? Jump, 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 jump. What does jump end with? Jump, jump. The ending sounds like a what? Jump, p, p. P. Do you see how you learn how to spell? Do you see how you learn how to sound out a word? Let's try another one. I'm thinking of water. I'm drinking water. I'm thinking of water. Let's try water. 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 I hear all kinds of sounds. What? That one's hard because it's a W, right? And it doesn't actually sound so much like W. But we know W says what. What does W say? What. So we know, how about what? Wolf. Woof, 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 woof. The dog says woof. That starts with a W too, doesn't it? Wolf. Wolf. I said wolf before I said woof. That starts with a W also, doesn't it? So we see all kinds of words starts with W, and we now know the sound. But we were saying water. So let's go back to water. Water. Well, let's go to the ending sound. Water. The last sound that I hear is What do you think that letter is? Water. R. It's an R. Of course it's an R. It sounds almost just like an R. Right? Rough. We're making all kinds of dog noises today. Woof and rough. Okay, so water. Water has two stops in it, and I can hear another consonant in there as well. Can't you? Water. Water. So I heard W. I heard water, R. What happens at the beginning of the second stop? Water, water. What is that? I bet you know. A T. Now look at that. You're learning to spell a word that has two stops. Now you didn't spell the whole word. I didn't spell the whole word, but it doesn't matter because you're learning how to spell a word that has two stops. Water. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And do you see how we do that? We look for beginning sounds. We look for end sounds. And we look for beginning sounds after a stop, right? At the stop, water. And we also listen to ending sounds at each stop as well. Wa, aw. I don't think I know that one. That must be a vowel. Because consonants pretty much say their own name. Let's try another one. Zoo, 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 zoo. What does that start with? Z, z, z. Not an S, because it's hard. It's a hard sound. It's like a hard S. That's what we call it. Z. It's a hard sound. It's not a soft sound like. That's a soft sound. But it's a hard sound. Z, z. Hard sound. Bob Dylan's vibrator phone. That was a joke I heard. You probably wouldn't understand, get that joke, but it's kind of a funny joke. If you knew who Bob Dylan was, it would be a funny joke. Because this Z sound reminds me of him. Z, z, zoo. So we know it's a Z, right? Let's do the ending sound. Ooh, z, ooh, z, ooh. Do you know what makes the ooh sound right there? Ooh. Ooh, two O's. Guess what you learned how to spell? Zoo. Z, 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 and then ooh, two O's. Z, O, O. Go tell your mom that you know how to spell zoo. But hold on, make sure we get it right, okay? Zoo. Z, O, O. What makes the ooh sound? O, O. Z, 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 O, O. How do you spell zoo? Z, O, O. Z, Z for the Z sound, and O, O for the ooh sound. Zoo. Z, O, O. Go tell your parents you know how to spell zoo, and they are going to be totally amazed. I would be amazed if my child came up to me and they were little and they told me how to spell zoo. I would be amazed. Even if my son came up to me now and said, Mom, I know how to spell zoo, I'd be like, yay, son, yay. Okay, so we're getting used to listening for how the word sounds, and then we learn how to spell it. Now, what's kind of funny about spelling is sometimes you just have to remember certain things about spelling, like ooh. Ooh, how do we spell ooh? O, O. So sometimes we have to remember, just remember that, right? And we'll know how to spell words like boot, boot, boot. It has the ooh sound there, so we know it's got what? Two O's in it. Boot, boot. What does it start with? B, b, b. B. Of course it starts with a B. B, ooh, t. Well, ooh, we already said. We just memorized ooh from zoo. So those are two O's. B, ooh, t. B, ooh, t. Boot. Boot. B, O, O, T. I don't know why I'm saying boot. I should be saying T. T, t. B, ooh, t. Now, those were not stops. We don't stop in the word boot. We don't say, I want to put on my boot. Mom, can you please help me put on my boot? No, there aren't any stops in that word. Boot. No stops. I didn't have to stop in that word. But we know how to spell the word boot now. B-oot. So we sound out each letter. We sound out each letter. Let's go up there at the top there and sound those letters out. Each letter we're going to sound out. B, 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 B. C is funny because C sometimes sounds like an S, as in Caesar, as in Caesar. C sometimes sounds like an S, like in Caesar. Caesar, as in Caesar salad or Caesar Augustus. That Caesar begins with a C. C can also sound like a K, as in cat. Cat, we spell C. Do you know what the next letter is? No, it's a vowel. Of course you don't. Cat. Do you know what cat ends with, though? Cat. 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 A T. But cat begins with the C, even though it sounds like a K. So C sounds like an S, like in Caesar. Or C can sound like a K, like in cat. So C's a little funny. Sometimes we just have to remember that C can sound like an S or C can sound like a K. But listen to C, right? C kind of sounds like an Caesar, right? So it kind of sounds like its name when it sounds like an S. That one's a little bit harder. We're going to have to try and memorize that one. D, dog, right? Dog, D. F, fat. Fat, right? The fat pig. What does pig start with? I bet you know. G, G, G. G is kind of hard, isn't it? G can sound like a J, because G sometimes sounds like a J, as in George. George starts with a G. George. But G can also have a hard sound. Remember we were talking about the zoo? Zoo has a hard sound, like a hard S. So can G. G can have a G sound, like garage. Garage. How many stops does garage have? Garage. 2 stops, doesn't it? So G can be a little bit of a hard letter sometimes too. Not always though. G. Gee whiz. Gee whiz. That starts with a G. Gee whiz. Other words that start with a G, like gate. Gate. That's a hard G. Okay. H. H. H is another hard one, isn't it? Some of these letters are hard. H makes the open up your mouth and push air out. That's the H sound. As in happy. As in happy. Happy. That's the H sound. Now we talked about the J sound as in jump, right? But sometimes the G sounds like a J. So sometimes we're going to have to try and remember, does George start with the J or does George start with the G? Well, if you're George, you know what it starts with, don't you? And it starts with a G. So that kind of gets a little confusing, but we just try and remember. If we hear a sound that is like, trying to think of another one. George, okay? And we don't know what it starts with, if it's a J or a G, right? We're not sure what it starts with. Well, we can ask somebody, and you know what? You ask them, does George start with a J or a G? And they'd be like, that's pretty smart for a little kid. That's pretty smart. You know, the sounds of J and G sound alike sometimes. That's pretty good, right? I'm trying to think of another one that starts with a G. It's hard. I'm thinking of joke, but that starts with a J again. So a lot of words that have the J sound, like George, most of them actually start with the J. Okay, but I'm thinking of cage, like cage, cage, cage. That's kind of an interesting word, isn't it? Cage. Does cage start with a C or a K? Cage. It starts with a C. I do know. You might not know. Is it a key? Is it a C or a K? Cage. It's a C. K. I hear an A there. That's a vowel. I hear an A. K. I hear an A. J. Cage. That sounds like a J, but that's where we have a soft G. Cage. C-A-G. And I'm going to tell you it has an E on the end. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So cage, cage, C-A-G-E. That's kind of a hard one. We almost have to memorize that. Let's keep moving. Okay, so we have K, and K sounds like C, because C sounds like K. So it sounds like cake should start with the K, but cake doesn't. Cake starts with the C. Cake is one of those words that has a hard C. So sometimes it's hard to know, does it start with a C or a K? And a lot of times it starts with a C, even though it says k, k, k. More words start with the C than they do with the K. So what's a word that starts with a K? The one we always go to, kangaroo. Kangaroo. Kangaroo starts with a K. That's the one we always remember. I don't know why. Probably because there's not a lot of letters that start with a K. Here's another one though. King. king, king, king. That's kind of a hard word to spell. But when we learn how to spell ing, like running, jumping, snowing, sleeping, getting. When we learn how to spell ing, I-N-G, we will know how to spell it whenever we hear that ing sound. Again, like jumping or raining or shining, right? All of those have the ing sound, just like king does, or sing, or ting, or ping, or ring. All of those have the ing sound, ing, I-N-G, ing. So king, K-I-N-G. Running has an I-N-G at the end, running. Jumping, I-N-G at the very end, okay? Sing, sing, S-I-N-G. Ping, ping, P-I-N-G. So we have a sound that we use a lot. Ing, ing, bing, king, sing, ring. What else? Wing. How about wing? Wing. W. That's a W. Wing. W-I-N-G. W-ing. We know how to spell ing. I-N-G. Ing. So we know how to spell all of a sudden a lot of words. Ing. Sing. S-I-N-G. Ting. T-I-N-G. Bing. Bing. B-I-N-G. Ding. D-I-N-G. Look at that. Look at that. See all those letters that or all those words that you know how to spell with all of those letters that are in there? I-N-G, I-N-G. Ming, ning. We can make rhyming words that aren't even really words, right? Ving, ying. Ying's a word. Ying's a name. Y-I-N-G. Zing. I gave you a zinger. Z-I-N-G, zing. We could do that with any one of those letters. It might not even be a word. Thing, not a word. Thing. How do you spell thing? F-I-N-G. Thing. So look at that. And ring. How do you spell ring? Where's my ring? How do you spell ring? R-I-N-G. Look at all those letters. Where were we? We were with L. Ling. L-I-N-G. L. So L makes a sound. Even though it's the letter sound. The letter is L. It makes the sound L. Like in what? Can you think of a word that starts with that sound? The sound L. Like. I like you. Like. I could almost spell that word. I. It just told me, even when I said the word, it told me what the letter was. I clearly heard I there. That's a vowel. Right? I's not up there because it's a vowel. Okay. That's a K. That's not a C. If I put a C there, it would be a soft C. It would be lice. Like the little bug lice. Like if you had lice in your hair. Lice. L-I-C-E. But we said like. L-I-K-E. There's an E on the end of those words. We're going to talk about that because it's not L-I-K. It's not L-I-K. Okay? All right. It's L-I-K-E. Wonder if we could think of some other letters that we could start with that have that same sound. I-K-E. Ike. So we did like. What's another one? Like, L-I-K-E. Like. Ends with an E. We can't hear the E. We say it's a silent E. It's silent because it doesn't say anything. So it's a silent E. Can you think of some other sounds, beginning sounds that can go with I-K-E? Ike. So we had like. Can you think of another beginning sound that we can go with I-K-E? Ike. Like. How about I haven't done that sound. Let's do a sound we've done before. How about b, b, bike. Bike. How do you spell bike? Ike. Has one stop. We don't say ike. Let me go ride my ike. No, we say let me go ride my bike. Let me go ride my bike. One stop. Bike. But we can spell it now, can't we? I can hear the b, ike. I-K-E. E is silent, but I learned how to spell like, L-I-K-E. So now I know how to spell bike, B-I-K-E. And I bet you could figure out how to spell hike, hike. Now that's a letter that doesn't really say its name. But what do we say that letter is? That's an H. That's an H. H. Hike. Hike. H-I-K-E. Hike. How about pike? Pike is a fish. It's a long fish like this. Pike. How about pike? We know it ends with I-K-E. E is silent on the end. Ike. Ike. Pike. Pike begins with a P. Pike, right? Pike. And how about Mike? We haven't gotten to that sound yet. Mike. Mike. We know it has an I-K-E on the end. Mike. Mike. What is that? M. M. That's what that is. So M kind of says its name as well, doesn't it? Mike. M-I-K-E. M-I-K-E. Bike. B-I-K-E. Like. L-I-K-E. Hike. H-I-K-E. Look at how many words you have learned to spell this morning. Oh my gosh. Let's keep going with our sounds. We left off with L. L. As in like. Can you think of another word? That begins with that. Little. Little. Love. Right? Learning. Learning. Ing. Ing. I-N-G. Learning has an ing on the end too, doesn't it? Okay, let's keep going. We just did M, didn't we? So that's our next letter, L-M, and we just did that with Mike. Let's think of another word. Melt. That's the word I'm thinking of. Melt. Melt. What does melt end with? How many stops does melt have? Melt. And what does it end with? Melt. We know it begins with an M. Melt. Melt. What does it end with? Melt. Oh, I hear an L there. Mel. L. It almost says it. Mel. L. It says it, doesn't it? Melt. So, t. It has an L at the end and a what? And a T. Do you see how we can sound out so many words? Not every word, but when we start memorizing and remembering what the letters make, what sound they make, like I-N-G is the ing sound. And when we memorize that or remember I-N-G, then we learn how to spell even more words. So many words you can sound out just like we're doing right now. Some words you're going to have to remember the sound, like ing. We can sound that out. Ing, ing, but it's kind of hard. So we remember it, ing. And now we know how to spell all kinds of words like sing and bing and king, right? And ding. Did you ding my car? Okay, so many words we can sound out. Okay, so that was melt, and we learned how to spell Mike, right, with M. How about N? N. N. That is N. Makes that sound. N. N. Nothing. No. Nancy. All of those begin with the N sound. N. N. No. No. Do you know how to spell no? Can you spell no? No. Has the N sound at the beginning. No. N-O. N-O. Have you ever heard anyone tell you no that way? No. N-O. You cannot have it. N-O. No. Why do you spell no? It's not the same I know something. It's no, you can't have it. You spell I know something different. P, 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 P. What do we have to, what can we think of that starts with a P, P, P sound? Puppy, puppy. I always like puppy. Pizza. How about pizza? How about pepper? Pepper. How many stops does pepper have? Pepper. 2 stops. Pepper. 2 stops. What does the second stop start with? Pep-per. Starts with a P too. So there must be a P in the middle of the word pepper. What does pepper end with? Pepper. What does that sound? Pepper. R. That's an R sound. That's what that is. Pepper. Okay. All right. Now we have an S sound, an S, and we've talked about this already a little bit. The first word I remember with S is snake. Snake. Slither. A snake slithers along the ground. It is a sneaky snake that slithers along the ground. S. S. Super. What else can you think of? S. Supper. S. Sing, snuggle, right? All of those words begin with S. How about T? Top. Tap. Temper. Tumble. All of those words begin with the T sound. How about the V sound? The V sound. V. We said this yesterday, didn't we? Very. I like doing my alphabet very much. How about v? Vocabulary. That's a big word. That was the one I was just thinking of. Vocabulary. How many stops does that have? Vocabulary. 5 stops in that big word. But isn't that what we're learning? Vocabulary is just words. That's what we're learning. We're learning words, aren't we? Now, don't forget, we did W. X is very difficult, but not a lot of words start with X. X-ray. There's only a few words that start with X, so we don't have to worry so much about that. We did Y already. Ying, yes, yesterday, right? Yesterday, 3 stops. Day. It ends with the word day. I hear D, A. I hear D-A. Yesterday, does it end with D-A? D-A-Y. Do we put a Y on the end? Look at that. A 3-stop word, and you know how to spell the last part of that 3-stop word. Yes, ter. I hear a T. I hear an R. Yesterday. And Z. zoo, zebra, Zambia, place in Africa. Okay, folks, we are out of time. Don't forget that I have some worksheets up there for you to help you with your letters, right? So we'll go over the worksheets a little bit more on Tuesday. We will be back here on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Thank you for joining me. That's it for today. See you on Tuesday. Bye-bye.